Hello, this is Beta Ray Ben for Pixel Spank, and today I've got the Game of Thrones Monopoly board. I'm quite a big fan of Monopoly, or am I? No, I like the idea of Monopoly. In practice, it's not a great game, but I am quite fond of different Monopoly sets. Particularly, like, anyone like this, where I'm hoping all the places will be actual places, is good. I don't like it when you get character-based Monopoly sets. The first one that comes to mind was there was a Marvel Monopoly where all the properties were like superheroes, and suddenly it feels a bit weird because it's like you're building properties on them. Star Wars is a good one because you have the planets, and then you're building, like, instead of hotels and that, you build in Star Destroyers and what have you. That's a nice one. Simpsons was a good one because it was all places. I'm hoping what we'll get in this one is all the places will be places and the pieces might be sigils. I haven't really looked into it. It's a good size box, isn't it? Not too thick, a bit broader. Right. Oh, we get some leafletry straight away. Adverts for other. There's an Uncharted Monopoly. How? What's even in that? There's like, and there's a Queen Monopoly. Well, I guess that's probably just songs. That makes sense. I can get on board with that. I'm enjoying this now. There's a Dragon Ball Z Monopoly. That is niche, isn't it? All right, let's put that away. Top trumps. Ooh. Ah, the rules to Monopoly. What's different? The game board. The actions on the board are the same, but you buy. Yeah, okay. Traveling space, okay. So nothing is different. Instead of houses and hotels, it's villages and keeps. That's it. You know what? If you're not aware of the rules of Monopoly, it's worth reading them. Most people don't actually know the rules. They just play their own house rules, which makes an okay game into a quite bad game if you make your own house rules up. Unless you're particularly good at making up house rules. I'll leave the board. Right. What are the little figures? So there's, what was it, houses and keeps, or keeps and castles? What do they call them? Villages and keeps. All right, so this will be the villages. They're these little brown huts. Yeah, so the village is this. It's essentially just a house with a door and two chimneys, and it's actually quite nice. The plastic's very solid. It doesn't have a bottom on it, but other than that, it's pretty nice. I want to believe it's got an almost kind of thatch/brickwork effect to it, but that might just be coincidence. All right, let's see what the other one is. So that was villages and keeps. For some reason, that's just not in my mind. Okay. Oh, these different? No, they're all the same. All right, and the keep. Oh yeah, so it's bigger and it implies a much larger scale. I quite like that. And I now need to see, do they kind of fit together in any kind of meaningful fashion? No, not really. That's nothing then. All right, that's good. Presumably there's plenty of them. Let's see the little figures. They feel like they're made of metal. That's a good sign. All right, so there's a dragon egg straight away. I feel like that would be annoying to use, like it would roll around a lot, and it kind of is a bit. There's the Iron Throne, which has got kind of a weird sort of backcombed affair going on with it, but it's not bad overall. It's obviously it's based on the TV show Iron Throne, not the book one. There's a man. I think this is supposed to be the Titan of Bravos, because it's a man from like the mid-thigh upwards holding a bit of a spear. He doesn't look like oh, it's a White Walker is what it is. I've just realised. I'm pretty sure it's a White Walker. The effect is lost when they're made entirely of metal and have no colour to them, and also inexplicably is not all of them. It's just from the waist up. You've got a bird, which I'm guessing is a mockingbird, and his little finger. Or is he a mockingbird? I think that's his signal, isn't it? It's a bird, isn't it? I'm guessing that's him. Or it could be the falcon of no, it's got to be Littlefinger in it. That is. There's a dog, which I'm guessing is a direwolf, and is therefore what's his face? Actually, who would that be? Jon Snow, I guess. Yeah. And then you got a crown. Is it the Iron Throne crown? I think so. It's got a lot of stag horns to it, which I think is the one Robert Baratheon had made. That's quite a nice one, actually. I quite like that. So I'm guessing thematically this is supposed to sort of give you the front runners in the race for the Iron Throne. You've got Daenerys with the egg, the White Walkers, possibly. Littlefinger, not really. The Iron Throne itself, kind of. The crown, which it might have been the crown that Renly had, so that could be it. Because if you base anything like this on Game of Thrones, it always has to be based on the battle of, what's it called? The War of Five Kings? Something like that. Then there's, so that, it doesn't really work because Daenerys is in there. And then the wolf, it could be Jon Snow, it could be Robb Stark. Either is possible. It's a fairly good mixture. They don't look too bad. They're quite a good size. I feel the only issues you'd have would be these three don't have a base and therefore might be a bit hard to stand up for themselves, but they seem to be doing fine there. Right, the money, it's just standard paper money, although has got a bit of artwork to it. What is it? Doesn't have any units to it. What would the units be for Game of Thrones? Is they have gold crowns, don't they? Or gold? No, there's gold dragons, silver stags. I don't know what the bronze is called. I think that's relative. Oh yeah, so the money's all different actually. That in a rather humorous screw you to the Greyjoys. The ones have a Kraken on it, which I'm guessing is House Greyjoy. Fives are the direwolves, which, yep, they're not that rich, are they? The Starks. Tens, it's the stag wearing a crown around its neck, which is the Baratheon symbol, isn't it? Now, interestingly, we're at 20s is the dragon, three-headed dragon of House Targaryen. So, what? I don't know. What's coming next? I don't agree with this. 50 is the spear of House Martell. No. Yeah, Martell, yeah. And therefore, who else we got? I don't recognise this last one. But actually, no, it should be two more, shouldn't there? The hundreds, which I feel is the note that you deal with most. I'm not really sure who it is. I want to believe it's the Iron Bank. Oh, I think it's the Rose of House Tyrell, which would make sense. Now, if this is all the noble houses, that means the last one will be a bird, won't it? Nope, it's a lion, because I forgot the Lannisters exist. So in this one, they've given... I suppose it's odd they've got Targaryen in there, but, you know, the old... what are they called? The people who live in the Eyrie. Aaron. House Aaron doesn't get a look in. I'm a bit annoyed at myself that I've put these in backwards. I've put ones back here, 500s back here. That's neither here nor there. The banker can figure that out. Right. All right. This is the deck of cards with all the places on, which I don't want to spoil for myself. Let's just put them aside. Right. The board. This is the most important part, isn't it? Is the board any good? It's important. Does it have artwork in the middle? What is it? All right. Okay. Okay. Here's what we got. All right. Straight away, the middle. It's a map of Westeros. It's actually pretty good. If it didn't have Monopoly plastered across the front of it, I feel it would be better. Monopoly, in particular, it actually cuts out. What's it cutting out? Deepwood Mott, I believe. Yeah, not a bad map. It's on the wonk, but I suppose it's that's an issue. That's what they have to deal with. Right, let's start from go. We'll look at all the properties. And I'll follow along here so I don't have to rotate the board at all. I love opening board games and getting all new shit in them. Particularly cards. Opening up decks of cards, lovely. As a board game fan, you love buying new board games, but it's because you love the idea of having time to play them or people to play them with. All right, so number 1, Craster's Keep. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a brown. That's a cheapie. Funny thing is, because Monopoly is such a global thing, saying what the brown would usually be is pointless to people. Like for me in London, I think it's Old Kent Road or something, which is such an old-fashioned thing now because everything in London is expensive. So it's Craster's Keep and the Fist of the First Men. Yeah, that's a good deal. That works as a pair in a similar location, also quite cheap. Instead of paying the tax, you've got the Master of Coin. You still got to pay the tax. And then the other one is the Hand of the King, which is a cheaper tax. I like that. So instead of like a railway or whatever, they got House Lannister. And in fact, the 4 houses, Lannister, Baratheon, Targaryen and Stark. I'm not really sure what the logic of those is, because, I mean, at a time when House Targaryen, during Game of Thrones, House Targaryen is not really a factor at the same time as House Baratheon, are they? Lannister and Stark are always knocking around. Oh well. Right, up next, blue. So there's the Night Fort, which is... What is the Night Fort? It's one of the fortresses of... what's it called, isn't it? The Night's Watch. But it's not the main one. They're normally at Castle Black. They've got 3 they've used. There's Castle Black, East Watch, and I think the Shadow Tower. The Night Fort, I think it's the biggest one, but they don't use it. But I'm not sure about that. Mole's Town. Mole's Town is the place nearest to Castle Black. It's a little village that they go and bang the prostitutes. And also, I think it's the place that gets attacked when the Fens come over the wall. And then the Inn at the Crossroads, which is miles away. That's like the other end of the world to those 3. It's nowhere near it. It's a similar feel of location, I suppose, so I can understand why it's in there. Right. Next, hop over the narrow sea, apparently, because we've got I want to say it's Vaisdofrak, which is like the capital city of the Dothraki, which is a place almost entirely made up of huts and statues of fallen gods. It's also where like the old bitches of the Dothraki live. Carth, the greatest city on earth. Carth, you remember Carth, don't you? With a Q. And Pentos. These places are nowhere near each other in Essos, but I'm not jumping ahead, but I suspect there aren't that many places in Essos in here, so they thought, fuck it, those 3 compared together, it kind of works. Now the orange. As any proper Monopoly player knows, the orange, they're the spaces to have. Statistically, you're most likely to land on the orange, therefore, if you own those, you'll earn the most money. You got the Eyrie, the impregnable fortress of House Arryn, the one on top of a mountain. You've got Dragonstone, the somewhat impregnable fortress of House Targaryen, confusingly. And Moat Cailin. Moat Cailin. Why? Okay, yeah, I don't think they're equal. Like, the Eyrie is the highest seat of the Reach? No. What's that place? I can't think what it's called, that whole area. The Vale. The Eyrie is like the high seat of the Vale. Dragonstone is its own major castle. Moat Cailin is more of a fort. You see him in the show. It's where like Reek gets taken to tell the Ironborn to surrender. It's a tower in the middle of a swamp essentially. So it's an odd pairing of 3 there. Right, now the reds. Harrenhal. Okay, yeah, it's kind of, the Dreadfort and the Twins. That's kind of good because That's 3 important strategically locations, kind of. But well, actually no, they're not, because the Dreadfort isn't. But they're like the houses of evil, aren't they? Harrenhal, that's a lot of bad shit went down at Harrenhal. The Dreadfort, that's where the Boltons are from. I don't think we ever actually see it in the show. And then the twins. The twins. That's where what's his face, old bastard, lives. His name, or the Freys. That's where the Freys are from, isn't it? Right, we're up to yellow. I feel red is like the turning point. That's where properties suddenly like, I've got to think about buying this. And then yellows are, actually that's quite expensive. Astapor, Yunkai and Meereen. It's the big 3, isn't it? They're the big 3 they're the cities of Slaver's Bay, essentially. And I think specifically Astapor, I want to get this right. I think Astapor trains the Unsullied, and that's what they're known for. Yunkai, I want to say, is known for training prostitutes, and then Meereen is known for its fighting pits, and that's like the kind of the slave trio. But I might have got that mixed up entirely. But they're in Slaver's Bay. I want to say they're somewhat close to each other. Right, now around to the green. All right, we're back up north now. We've got Castle Black. I know it. That's the main seat of the Night's Watch. Making the Night Fort an odd inclusion. In fact, I think the Night Fort might be where Samwell Tarly crosses the wall, and then Bran does later on. So there's Castle Black, Pike. Pike's the main seat of the Ironborn where's it there? The Iron Islands, that's what it's called. It's on there. Yep. It says Pike and Winterfell, which, yeah, that kind of makes sense as a trio. 2 of them are up north. Pike's sort of related to the north, even though it's not actually that close to it if you look on the map. All right. And then the big 2, the big expensive 2. Obviously, King's Landing is the most expensive one. That makes sense. It's weird that it's a city and not a keep. Actually, no, it kind of slingshots between being cities and like keeps, doesn't it? Yeah, because like, Astapor and Yunkai, they're full cities, whereas a lot of the ones in Westeros are just the name of the places. Because you don't actually go to many cities in Westeros. Or big towns, I suppose. And then Braavos, which, actually, yeah, Braavos makes sense because you realise the Iron Bank is there, the Iron Bank of Braavos, which is one of the main financial institutions in the world, which therefore means it must be a pretty big deal, mustn't it? Yeah, that makes sense. Those 2 as being the big rich 2. Right, so that's the 4, what's it called? The 4 railroads? I'll call them that. Transport spaces? I don't know. It seems odd they haven't gone with the theme of transportation, but I don't know how that would even work in this. I mean, there's a few famous boats, maybe, or I suppose you could have like the King's Road. It's not really. It doesn't really work, does it? Maybe have 4 warriors. That could work. Right, what else have we got? So there's the equivalent of the electric company and the water company. One of them is the Red Waste, which is the desert of Essos. Yeah, has the same shtick. And then the other one is the Wall, which is kind of weird. Right, so that's all the property spaces. Let's immediately shuffle those up in a really annoying fashion and put those to the side. And then the community chest and the chance, which smart people know which is the good one and which is the risky one. I believe community chest is always good, chance is sometimes good. Right, let's now normally it's 50-50. Sometimes branded Monopoly sets just give these a different name and then the cards are always basically the same. Sometimes they really go for it. I'm hoping in this one they go for it. Let's look at Valar Morghulis, which I'm guessing is the equivalent of chance. Victorious at the King's Name Day tourney, collect money, yeah. Take an oath of fealty, travel to the nearest house, yeah. That's a classic one. Stick them with the pointy end. Train your daughter to make proper use of a sword. So they're themed, but they're the same, like, you know, shtick in there. Free blasts. White walkers have been sighted. Go back 3 spaces. Dark winds, dark words, ravens spread rumours of your house's duplicity. He was no dragon. Fire cannot kill a dragon. Go to Vase Dothrek. Night gathers and now my watch begins. Take the black, join the Night's Watch. Get out of jail free. Okay. Yeah, that actually works as a get out of jail free card, isn't it? Because in many ways, joining the Night's Watch is that. Master of Coin levies additional taxes to pay for the King's Guard. That's the one where you have to pay for each village and keep you own, and that's like the biggest late game changer card. If you get that can destroy your empire if you're not careful. Yeah, and then it goes on like that. For the most part, it's all like the same in balanced game stuff. Yeah. Right. And then the Iron Throne is, what is that? Dracarys. Unleash the fury of your dragons. Collect 200. Travel to go. Winter is coming. Pay 40 for each village. 115 for each keep. I'm sure that's significantly more expensive. You spare a drunken knight from execution by naming him the King's Fool. Collect $10. I don't know what the money is in this. Hodor. Collect 50. I will take what is mine with fire and blood. Collect 100. You'll name the Master of Coin. Collect 10 from each player. Arrange a betrothal for your daughter to a wealthy lord, securing his family's allegiance. Pay 100. You're accused of poisoning the king during his wedding. Go directly to jail. So I'm thinking, actually, Valar Morghulis is... Some of them are good. Some of them, while not bad... Actually, no. They seem to be roughly the same. It's just these are of a lower scale and these are of a higher scale. Appears to be the thing. Which might be it in Monopoly, to be honest. It's one of those games where the cards come up so infrequently that you're probably not even aware of what they are. Yeah, so that's the cards. Went through that. The dice are just dice. There's nothing fancy to them. The only other thing is the actual board itself. They haven't bothered really doing anything with the 4 spaces. Free parking is just free parking. Go to jail is just that same old policeman pointing, and then jail is the same thing. I don't know why in this Game of Thrones branded set they didn't think that maybe the jail could be an actual jail. Or fuck it, make it the Night's Watch. Why not? And then the go to jail over here could have been anything. Could have been the king at least. Any nonsense like that. And then free parking. I don't know what the equivalent of free parking would be. Whatever Salados Han does. Free parking's always a weird one as well, because that's the most contentious space in the board for house rules, isn't it? Some people are like, oh yeah, anytime you have to pay taxes and shit goes in free parking, or you know, like all the money, all loads of stuff goes to free parking, money you pay and all that kind of jazz. Whereas actually, if you read the rules, free parking is just literally that. It's just a place to park for free. The reasoning being that when you're going around, when you stop on these places, you have to pay to stay there, you know, for the night. Whereas free parking is literally free. It's a weird thing. It doesn't really make sense. Yeah, so that's the Game of Thrones Monopoly. Seems fine. The real question is, how much does it cost? I don't know why I thought we'd have a price on it. I don't know what a game Monopoly board costs in general. I feel £10 is cheap, £20 is reasonable. Any more than 30 is too much. So, you know, if you got this for 25 to 30 quid, that's probably fine. One set of Monopoly is plenty in life. I've got about 10, as you can imagine. It's not a bad set. It's nothing over the top, mind. These little figures are quite good. It depends if you like Monopoly, really. I think Monopoly is a terrible game for many reasons, but it's also quite a fun game if you don't take it too seriously. I find that's the key. Right, so that was a Game of Thrones Monopoly. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, one little addendum that I noticed from this. I don't know why. This game has an age rating of 18+. There's actually no reason for that. There's nothing there's nothing like iffy on the board, and the only thing it could be was if in those cards, if it was too graphic, but there's really nothing in there that's particularly bad. There was one about an execution, and that's nothing really, is it? I only assume it's 18 plus purely because it's rated on Game of Thrones, but there's no reason for that at all. I can't see the logic of that. It's an odd inclusion.